Helene unleashed. The storm's fury battered multiple states and left the Carolinas, in particular, drowning in misery. Hundreds are dead, and the toll may go over 1,000. The relentless downpour turned serene neighborhoods into destroyed, waterlogged wastelands. This was a deluge of epic proportions, resulting in epic suffering and misery. This was Hurricane Helene, and she was serving up a cocktail of misery with a side of destruction and despair. Homes underwater, businesses washed away, towns and villages gone, dreams drenched. The storm showed no mercy, leaving a trail of ruination in its wake. It felt as if Mother Nature chose the Carolinas for her own stormy experiment, leaving the tap running far too long. Rivers flooded over, streets turned into rampaging streams, and cars were swept away, totaled and drifting without purpose. People were stranded, scared, and wondering if anyone was coming to help. Families clung to rooftops, hoping for a miracle. Spoiler alert, they were in for a long wait. Emergency shelters were packed, and the lines for food and supplies seemed endless. Where was FEMA? Where was the Fed? Because when it comes to disaster relief, Uncle Sam seems to have misplaced his wallet. Again. Frustration grew as promises of aid turned into empty words, leaving the residents to fend for themselves in the aftermath of the hellacious storm. Uncle Sam's piggy bank, empty for Americans, but overflowing for everyone else. Here's a thought. Spot the difference. Picture A. American families, wading through the wreckage of their homes, needing food and shelter, desperate for help. Picture B. Billions of taxpayer dollars flying overseas, faster than you can say international aid package. More billions being doled out to illegal immigrants. Can you guess which one's getting funded quicker? It's enough to make you wonder if Uncle Sam has his priorities straight. Apparently, sending weapons, rebuilding war-torn countries, and handing out stacks of money to illegals is way more important than helping out the folks back home. You know, the ones who actually pay taxes. FEMA, finally effective? More like forever. MIA. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Sounds impressive, right? You'd expect a well-oiled machine, ready to tackle any disaster with precision and speed. You'd think they'd be swooping in like disaster relief ninjas, righting wrongs and handing out hot meals. Well, think again. The reality is far from the heroic image they project. More like showing up late and during business hours with a clipboard and a frown, wondering what all the fuss is about. It's almost as if they're surprised that disasters are chaotic. The stories coming out are enough to make you laugh, if it wasn't so tragic. Days are turning into weeks, and people have been left stranded, waiting for help that seems like it will never come. Paperwork mountains higher than the floodwaters. Bureaucracy at its finest, slowing down the very process meant to save lives. It's like they took their disaster relief playbook from the Department of Motor Vehicles. Endless lines, endless waiting, and endless frustration. Slow, inefficient, and guaranteed to make you question your sanity. The inefficiency is devastating for those in need, and the suffering is needlessly prolonged. Imagine waiting for hours, days, even weeks, while the clock ticks away and the situation grows more dire. It's a nightmare scenario that too many have lived through. Thank God for the local communities and volunteers who are stepping up to fill the gap, doing the work that FEMA should be doing. It's a sad state of affairs when the supposed experts are outperformed by everyday heroes. Volunteers, the real heroes, arguing and pushing their way past federal and local roadblocks to help the needy. You know who actually showed up for the Carolinas? Regular folks, neighbors helping neighbors, volunteers driving in from other states, tools in hand and hearts ready. Private helicopter pilots flying in to find those stranded and left to fend for themselves. They were rescuing people from flooded homes, clearing debris, and offering food, water, and comfort. Some volunteers even came by old-fashioned mule train, the real American spirit shining brighter than any government-issued flashlight. But even these everyday heroes have to battle the bureaucratic beasts. Some have been met with permits, paperwork, and endless red tape. One pilot was rescuing people from a town, but was told to stop or be arrested. Because apparently, rescuing your neighbor from a rooftop requires the proper documentation and government approval. Who knew? Ukraine, getting aid packages. Americans getting aid peanuts. Let's talk about priorities, people. Ukraine's a world away, dealing with a terrible situation, no doubt, and sending help is the right thing to do. But seeing billions, with a B, going there while American folks here are struggling for their lives or to get a few $100 makes you wonder, are we playing favorites with taxpayer money? It's like your friend's house is on fire, but you're too busy watering your neighbor's lawn 3 blocks over. Sure, the lawn needs water, but maybe, just maybe, put out the friend's inferno first. Red tape and ruins. Bureaucracy's grip on recovery. Here's a thought. More money for the homeland, less paperwork, more help. Seems simple, right? Not for the government. The process is often so convoluted that it feels like they want to keep you tangled in red tape forever. They'd rather you fill out a 5-page form in triplicate detailing the exact dimensions of your missing roof shingles than actually, give you money for new ones. It's almost as if they believe paperwork can magically fix your roof. And while your wallet remains empty and your house has been destroyed, Harris, Biden, and Mayorkas are keeping those flights of illegals coming in every single day. Meanwhile, the mold in flooded homes, growing faster than the government's response time. Every day that passes, the damage worsens, and the cost of repairs skyrockets. And the only things multiplying quicker than the mosquitoes are the regulations and restrictions on getting aid. It's a never-ending cycle of frustration and delay. It's enough to make you wish for a natural disaster just to liven up the bureaucratic monotony. Almost. But in reality, all you want is a straightforward path to recovery, free from the endless loops of red tape. Politicians on parade, photo ops, and empty promises. And what are our elected officials doing during all this? Besides the obligatory disaster zone photo ops, complete with rolled up sleeves and concerned frowns, not much. Biden flew over. Harris made an announcement. Mayorkas said he is out of money. We get the usual platitudes. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. We're committed to helping you rebuild. Here, have $750. That should cover it. Yeah, we heard that one before. Remember La Hyena, Maui? They'll promise the world, then disappear faster than a FEMA relief check. It's all about optics, baby. Look concerned, make some promises you'll never keep, then jet off to the next fundraiser. Rinse and repeat. The American political playbook, folks. Where's our disaster bailout? From Wall Street to Main Street, America deserves better. Remember the 2008 financial crisis? The one where Wall Street gambled away our economy and got $1 trillion bailout. It's buried there in our national debt. And yet, when hardworking Americans get hit by a natural disaster, suddenly the government's fresh out of funds? It's enough to make you wonder who this government really works for. The people? Or the corporations and special interests lining their pockets? Perhaps the New World Order as well. Maybe it's time we demand a bailout for Main Street for a change. Helene's wake-up call. Fix this mess, America. Hurricane Helene was and is a tragedy, but it can also be a wake-up call. It's time to demand better from our government, better disaster preparedness, faster response times, and for God's sake, spend the money at home. And how about a whole lot less red tape? We need to hold our elected officials accountable for their inaction and misplaced priorities. We need to invest in our communities and ensure that when disaster strikes, we're there for each other. Because right now, the only thing more broken than the Carolinas after Helene is the system that's supposed to help them recover.